Sebastian, thanks very much for joining us here at MIPIM.
Welcome.
Just tell me a little bit more about Cofinimmo. Has there been a change of strategy, and what's the current position at the company?
Okay. Well, Cofinimmo is a Belgian company, was created 30 years ago. Had a legacy of offices. However, today we really changed the strategy into investing in healthcare, and we have the ambition to become the first pan-European healthcare REIT. We really think there's a momentum for healthcare real estate, and so the strategy is to accelerate this growth in healthcare.
I guess at the moment it's quite a fragmented market.
That's right.
So how practical is it? And I suppose what's the strategy in terms of being able to move towards a more pan-European strategy?
Healthcare is a very regulated matter. So when you invest in healthcare, you need to be diversified, not only in geographies, but also in type of cares. So we have a double strategy. One is to diversify our type of healthcare assets. So we are investing as well in acute care, as in primary care, as in nursing homes. So we try to cover the whole spectrum. And we also diversify in terms of geography. We started in Belgium. It's still the biggest portfolio we have, but we moved into France, then we moved into the Netherlands and Germany. We think in the Netherlands and Germany we still have a lot of potential to grow, and we're also actively looking at other European countries. So the idea is that indeed we try to cover a big chunk of Europe by investing only in healthcare assets.
And in terms of when you're looking at geographies and where you're going to invest, are you basing that around demographics in terms of aging, or what's the overall strategy?
Okay, so the idea is that every country is very different in Europe, very fragmented market. So we have a team on the ground in every country. And when we look at a project, we always look first at demographics. Then we look at the quality of the operator, and then we look at real estate. So it's actually a bit strange. And you know that most real estate investors would look at location first. We always look at demography first, operator, and then location. And the idea is that you develop a know-how in every single segment, every single country. So it takes a lot of manpower to develop this know-how, but once you have it, it's fantastic because it allows you to roll over, and it creates quite high barriers for entry for our competitors.
And in terms of the barriers of entry, one of the things that's cropped up before when we've talked about senior living, healthcare, is how do people deal with the operator risk? What's the model that works? What have you chosen as the model that you feel works for you?
Okay, so in terms of operator risk, our response to that is twofold. One is diversification. That's the reason why we want to have the various operators, of course. The other one is financial analysis. So we developed a know-how of analyzing the financials of an operator, of understanding their business plan. People in our team also are usually financially trained, but they also followed healthcare trainings. I, for instance, have a hospital management training on top of a financial one, because we believe that the first driver of the value of our building is the quality and the operations of the operator.
And in terms of, as a listed company, you've obviously got longer term capital, which means you can look longer term, which is useful, I guess, for this sector. In terms of the types of investors that you've got in your shareholding, are they broadly European or are they from around the world? What's the makeup of the capital?
We have two shareholders that have around 5%. They are public because they have to announce when they pass the threshold. After that, we have a lot of institutionals, but we believe that at least 50% of our shareholding is small individual shareholders. So it's very floated, it's very spread. And usually the shareholders are looking for stable long-term return. And so healthcare matches so well with that kind of investment profile, of course. And Richard, please remember, we're also a REIT, so we don't pay corporate income taxes, but we distribute all our income, so we generate a high dividend yield as well. So perfectly matching the investment profile expected from our institutional investors.
And things like student housing, micro living, those kinds of things are now beginning to attract institutional capital. Do you think that will be the same for healthcare? Do you think you're, I suppose, an early adopter in some ways?
Yeah, well, it is already attracted. It's actually the alternative real estate market is booming, and healthcare is part of that, of course. And yeah, well, I mean, we really believe that healthcare becomes a real segment on its own, with own brokers, own advisors, own bankers, and it's really developing as a mature segment.
There's been a lot of interest in alternative sectors, but what do you think is driving the momentum, particularly in healthcare?
Of course, there's demographics, so there's huge demand for healthcare, booming everywhere. And at the same time, the current capacity in a lot of countries is not fit for purpose. It's probably a bit getting old as well, so needs for refurbishment. And actually the way healthcare is being delivered is also completely under pressure and is being reinvented. So that also will need new infrastructure, new financing for infrastructure. And so we believe that there's huge demand, huge potential, and then of course huge needs for financing for infrastructure.
And this is the first time that we at MIPIM have done an event on healthcare and senior living. So it's interesting just to see that it's beginning to appear much more on the radar in terms of Europe. So thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today, Sébastien.
You're most welcome. It was a pleasure.